Hey there, you're looking kind of cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out all my other socials. Enjoy. The hallway buzzed with chatter as students filtered out of their classrooms. A 19-year-old brunette clutched her books tightly to her chest, eyes darting nervously. Rachel quickened her pace, hoping to make it to her locker without incident. No such luck. A booming voice cut through the din. "Hey, witchy woman, brew up any good potions lately?" Rachel's shoulders slumped as she recognized the mocking tone. Mike sauntered up, flanked by his usual crew of hangers-on. His tall frame loomed over her as he smirked down at her. "What's the matter? Cat got your tongue, or did you use it in some creepy spell?" Mike's cronies snickered on cue. Rachel kept her eyes glued to the floor. "Leave me alone, Mike," she muttered. "Aw, don't be like that." Mike reached out and knocked the books from Rachel's arms, sending them clattering across the linoleum. "Oops, guess your magic couldn't keep them from falling, huh?" Laughter echoed down the hall as Rachel knelt to gather her scattered belongings. Tears pricked at her eyes, but she blinked them back furiously. She wouldn't give Mike the satisfaction of seeing her cry. As the group sauntered away, Rachel's fingers curled into fists. This had gone on long enough. Mike needed to learn what it felt like to be powerless, to be mocked and belittled. A plan began to form in her mind. That evening, Rachel sat cross-legged on her bedroom floor, surrounded by candles and herbs. She took a deep breath, centering herself. The spell she was about to attempt was far beyond anything she'd tried before. But desperate times called for desperate measures. Rachel began to chant, her voice growing stronger with each repetition. The candle flames flickered and danced as energy crackled in the air. She visualized Mike, picturing his arrogant smirk transforming into a delicate female face. As the final words left her lips, a gust of wind extinguished the candles, plunging the room into darkness. Rachel's heart raced. Had it worked? Only time would tell. Across town, Mike tossed and turned in his bed, oblivious to the mystical forces at work. His sleep was fitful, filled with strange dreams of his body shifting and changing. When his alarm blared the next morning, Mike groaned and reached out to silence it. His hand froze midair. Something felt off. Mike blinked groggily, trying to clear the fog from his mind. He sat up, and a strange weight on his chest made him pause. Mike looked down. His eyes widened in shock. Where his flat, muscular pecs had been, two soft mounds now protruded from his chest. He tentatively poked one. It was definitely real. "What the hell?" Mike's voice came out higher than usual, almost feminine. Panic rising, he scrambled out of bed and rushed to the mirror. The face staring back at him was undeniably female. Delicate features, full lips, long lashes, framing wide eyes. Mike's hand flew to his throat, feeling for his Adam's apple. It was gone. "This can't be happening," he whispered, voice trembling. But the evidence was undeniable. Somehow, overnight, Mike had become a girl. She stumbled back to the bed, mind reeling. How was this possible? It had to be a dream. Mike pinched himself hard, wincing at the pain. Nope, definitely awake. A knock at the door made Mike jump. "Honey, are you up? You'll be late for school." Mike's mother. Oh God, how could he possibly explain this? Yeah, Mom, I'm not feeling well. Think I might stay home today." Mike cringed at the high-pitched voice that emerged. There was a pause. "You do sound odd. Do you want me to come in and check on you?" "No," Mike yelped. No thanks. I'll be fine. Just need to rest." "Well, all right. Let me know if you need anything." Mike let out a shaky breath as his mother's footsteps retreated. That was close. But he couldn't hide in his room forever. He needed to figure out what had happened and how to fix it. First things first, clothes. Mike's pajamas hung loosely on his new frame. He rummaged through his drawers, but everything was comically oversized now. With a sigh, Mike crept down the hall to his sister's room. Ashley was already at school, thank goodness. He felt like a creep pawing through her clothes, but desperate times called for desperate measures. After some trial and error, Mike managed to assemble an outfit that more or less fit. jeans, a plain t-shirt, and a hoodie to hide his new assets. He stared at Ashley's bra collection in bewilderment before giving up and just layering on 2 tight tank tops instead. Fully dressed, Mike studied his reflection. The clothes helped, but there was no mistaking the feminine face staring back at him. Long chestnut hair fell past his shoulders. Even with the baggy hoodie, curves were evident where none had been before. Mike ran a hand through his hair, marveling at how soft and silky it felt. This was insane. People didn't just wake up in different bodies. There had to be an explanation. His thoughts turned to Rachel. She was always going on about witchcraft and spells. Mike had brushed it off as nonsense, but now, could she have actually done this to him? Anger flared in Mike's chest. If Rachel was behind this, she was going to fix it. Now. Mike grabbed his phone, then paused. He couldn't exactly stroll into school looking like this. His friends would freak out, but he needed answers. After a moment's hesitation, Mike fired off a text to his best friend, Chris. "Dude, something crazy happened. Can you meet me at the park?" Chris's reply came quickly. "During school? What's up?" Mike's fingers hovered over the keys. How could he possibly explain this? "Just trust me. It's an emergency." "Okay, man. Be there in 20. Mike pocketed the phone and crept downstairs. He scrawled a quick note for his mom, claiming he'd gone to the doctor, then slipped out the front door. The walk to the park was nerve-wracking. Mike kept his head down, praying no one would recognize him. His new body felt alien, hips swaying with each step, chest bouncing uncomfortably. How did girls deal with this all the time? At the park, Mike paced nervously near the swings. He spotted Chris approaching and waved him over. Chris jogged up, looking confused. "Hey, do I know you?" Mike said to meet him here. Mike's stomach dropped. Of course Chris didn't recognize him. "Chris, it's me. It's Mike." Chris's eyebrows shot up. "Very funny. Who put you up to this? Where's Mike?" "I'm telling you, I am Mike." Frustration colored Mike's voice. Something happened to me. I woke up like this." "Right." Chris took a step back. "Look, I don't know what kind of prank this is, but it's not a prank." Mike ran a hand through his hair. "Remember in 3rd grade when you fell off the monkey bars and knocked out your front tooth? And you were so embarrassed you made me swear never to tell anyone?" Chris's eyes widened. "How do you—" "Because I'm Mike, your best friend since kindergarten. I know it sounds crazy, but you have to believe me." Chris stared at Mike for a long moment. "This is impossible," he muttered. "People don't just change gender overnight." "Tell me about it," Mike said wryly. "So what? How?" Chris gestured vaguely at Mike's body. Mike sighed. "I think it was Rachel. You know how she's always talking about witchcraft and stuff? I think she actually cast a spell on me or something." Chris barked out a laugh. "Come on, man. Magic isn't real." Mike spread his arms. "You got a better explanation for this?" Chris ran a hand over his face. "Fair point. So what are you going to do?" "Confront Rachel, I guess. Make her change me back." Mike's voice hardened. "And if she won't, I don't know, but I can't stay like this." Chris nodded slowly. "Yeah, this is pretty messed up. Want me to come with you?" Relief washed over Mike. "Thanks, man. I owe you one." The two set off toward Rachel's house. Mike filled Chris in on the full story as they walked. It felt good to have someone believe him, even if the situation was still completely surreal. As they neared Rachel's street, Mike's nerves returned full force. What if she couldn't or wouldn't reverse the spell? The thought of being stuck as a girl forever made him feel sick. Mike raised a trembling hand and knocked on Rachel's front door. After a moment, it swung open to reveal Rachel herself. Her eyes widened as she took in Mike's new appearance. "Can I help you?" she asked cautiously. Mike pushed past her into the house. "Cut the act, Rachel. I know you did this to me. Change me back. Now." Rachel's brow furrowed in confusion. "I'm sorry, do I know you?" "It's Mike," he snapped. "You used your witchy powers or whatever to turn me into this." He gestured at his feminine form. Understanding dawned on Rachel's face, quickly followed by guilt. "Oh no," she whispered. It actually worked? You're damn right it worked. Mike advanced on her, fists clenched. Now undo it. Rachel took a step back, hands raised placatingly. Mike, I'm so sorry. I never thought... I didn't really believe it would... I don't care what you thought. Mike's voice rose shrilly. Just change me back. Rachel bit her lip. I can't. The words hit Mike like a physical blow. What do you mean you can't? The spell, it's irreversible. Rachel's voice was barely above a whisper. I'm so sorry, Mike. I never meant for this to actually happen. I was just so tired of the bullying. I wanted you to know what it felt like to be powerless. Mike staggered back, collapsing onto Rachel's couch. This couldn't be happening. He couldn't be stuck like this forever. Chris, who had been watching the exchange silently, spoke up. There's got to be something you can do. Some counterspell or whatever? Rachel shook her head miserably. I've looked through all my books. This kind of transformation, once it's done, it's permanent. Magically altering the fundamental essence of a person, it's not something that can be undone. Mike buried his face in his hands. This was a nightmare. How was he supposed to live the rest of his life as a girl? I truly am sorry, Rachel said softly. I know it doesn't help, but is there anything I can do to make this easier? Mike looked up, eyes blazing. You've done enough. He spat. Without another word, he stormed out of the house. Chris hurried after him. Mike, wait up! Where are you going? Home, Mike said shortly. I need to, I don't know, figure out what the hell I'm going to do now. Chris nodded. Want me to come with? Mike shook his head. Thanks, but I think I need to be alone for a bit. Process all this. I get it, but hey, call me if you need anything, okay? We'll figure this out. Mike managed a wan smile. Thanks, man. As he walked home, Mike's mind raced. How was he going to explain this to his family? To the rest of his friends? And school? Oh God, he couldn't go back there looking like this. Everyone would freak out. Lost in thought, Mike didn't notice the couple walking toward him until he collided with the woman. Oh, I'm so sorry, he stammered. The woman smiled kindly. No harm done, dear. Are you all right? You look a bit lost. Mike opened his mouth to reassure her, then hesitated. He was lost in more ways than one. To his horror, he felt tears welling up in his eyes. The woman's expression softened. Oh, honey, do you need help? Is there someone I can call for you? Mike shook his head, swiping at his eyes. This new body seemed to cry at the drop of a hat. No, I'm fine, just having a rough day. The woman patted his arm sympathetically. We all have those sometimes. Whatever it is, I'm sure things will look brighter soon. Mike nodded, not trusting himself to speak. He hurried away, face burning with embarrassment. He wasn't used to strangers being so nice to him. It was disconcerting. Back home, Mike snuck up to his room, relieved to find the house empty. He flopped onto his bed with a groan. What now? He couldn't hide forever. Sooner or later, he'd have to face his family, his friends, the world. The thought made him want to curl up and disappear. A light knock on his door made Mike jump. Go away, he called out automatically. The door creaked open anyway, revealing his little sister Ashley. Mike? Mom said you were sick. I just wanted to check if you needed any... She broke off, staring at Mike in shock. Mike sat up, racking his brain for an explanation. Ash, I can explain. Oh my God. Ashley's eyes were wide. You're a girl. Mike winced. Yeah, it's complicated. Ashley took a tentative step into the room. How? Why? What happened? Mike sighed. May as well tell her the truth. Or most of it anyway. Remember Rachel? The girl I've been, giving a hard time? Ashley nodded slowly. Well, turns out she actually knows magic. Real magic. And she used it to turn me into a girl. Mike gestured at his body. Ta-da? Ashley's jaw dropped. No way! That's impossible! Trust me, I know how it sounds, but here I am. Ashley moved closer, studying Mike's face. It really is you in there, isn't it? This is so weird. Mike snorted. You're telling me? So what are you going to do? Can Rachel change you back? Mike's expression darkened. No, apparently it's permanent. Oh. Ashley was quiet for a moment. Then hesitantly, I'm sorry, that really sucks. Mike blinked in surprise. He'd expected Ashley to laugh, to gloat over his predicament, but she seemed genuinely sympathetic. Yeah, it does, he agreed softly. Ashley perched on the edge of the bed. So, I guess you're my big sister now, huh? Mike groaned. God, don't say that. I don't know what I am anymore. Well, for starters, you need a new name, Ashley said practically. You can't go around calling yourself Mike when you look like that. Mike hadn't even thought about that. I guess you're right. Any suggestions? Ashley tilted her head, considering. How about Daisy? Mike, Daisy, made a face. Seriously? That's so girly. Ashley rolled her eyes. In case you haven't noticed, you're pretty girly now, too. Besides, it suits you. Daisy sighed. She supposed Ashley had a point, and Daisy wasn't the worst name in the world. Fine. Daisy it is, I guess. Ashley grinned. This is kind of exciting, actually. I always wanted a sister. We can do each other's hair, borrow clothes. Slow down there, Daisy said, alarmed. I may look like a girl, but I have no idea how to actually be one. That's what I'm here for. Ashley bounced excitedly. Come on, let's start with your hair. It's a mess. Before Daisy could protest, Ashley was tugging her toward the bathroom. As her sister chattered about conditioner and leave-in treatments, Daisy resigned herself to her fate. This was her life now, apparently. She might as well try to make the best of it. Over the next few weeks, Daisy struggled to adjust to her new reality. Ashley proved to be a patient teacher, guiding her through the intricacies of makeup, hairstyling, and fashion. Daisy had to admit it was nice to have her sister's support, even if some of the girl lessons made her want to crawl into a hole and die of embarrassment. Explaining the situation to their parents had been interesting, to say the least. After the initial shock wore off, they'd been surprisingly understanding. Daisy suspected they thought this was some kind of delayed exploration of gender identity rather than actual magic, but she wasn't about to correct them. School was another matter entirely. After much discussion, Daisy had decided to transfer to a new school across town. Starting over as Daisy was easier than trying to explain her transformation to everyone who'd known her as Mike. Of course, that didn't make it easy. Daisy felt like she was constantly on guard, terrified of slipping up and revealing her secret. Using the girls' bathroom still felt wrong, like she was intruding somehow. And don't even get her started on gym class. Changing in the locker room was a special kind of hell. But slowly, day by day, it got a little easier. Daisy made a few new friends, other girls who took her under their wing, seeing her as a somewhat awkward newcomer rather than the persona she'd cultivated as Mike. One afternoon, about 2 months after her transformation, Daisy found herself at the mall with her new friend group. As the other girls cooed over a display of jewelry, Daisy's attention wandered. Her gaze landed on a familiar face across the food court. Rachel. Daisy's stomach clenched. She hadn't spoken to Rachel since that day at her house. Part of her wanted to march over and give Rachel a piece of her mind, but another part, well, Daisy had done a lot of thinking over the past weeks about the kind of person she'd been as Mike, the way she'd treated others, Rachel included. Before she could talk herself out of it, Daisy muttered an excuse to her friends and made her way across the food court. Rachel looked up as Daisy approached, eyes widening in recognition. Daisy, hi. Hey. Daisy shifted awkwardly. Can we talk? Rachel nodded, gesturing to the empty chair across from her. Daisy sat, toying nervously with the friendship bracelet Ashley had made for her. So, Rachel said after a moment, how are you adjusting? Daisy shrugged. It's weird, really weird, but I'm dealing, I guess. Rachel nodded. That's good. I'm glad. They lapsed into silence. Daisy took a deep breath. Look, I wanted to apologize. Rachel's eyebrows shot up. You apologize to me? Yeah. Daisy met Rachel's eyes. The way I treated you before, it wasn't okay. I was a jerk and I'm sorry. Rachel stared at her for a long moment. Wow, thank you. That means a lot. Daisy managed a small smile. Yeah, well, let's just say being on the other side of things has given me some perspective. Rachel returned the smile hesitantly. I really am sorry about the spell. I never meant for it to actually work. I know, Daisy sighed. And while I can't say I'm thrilled about being stuck like this, maybe it's not the worst thing that could have happened. I wasn't exactly a great person before. Well, for what it's worth, I think you're doing a pretty good job of being a better person now, Rachel offered. Daisy felt her cheeks warm at the unexpected compliment. Thanks, I'm trying anyway. They chatted for a while longer, the awkwardness slowly fading. As Daisy stood to leave, Rachel called out, Hey, Daisy. Yeah? Rachel smiled. Maybe we could hang out sometime? You know, start over as friends. Daisy considered for a moment, then nodded. Yeah, I think I'd like that. The weeks following Daisy's unexpected encounter with Rachel at the mall marked a turning point. Life as Daisy, so foreign at first, began to settle into a strange rhythm. Ashley's relentless enthusiasm for sisterhood had dragged her through the basics. Mascara wands no longer poked her eyes, and she could walk in low heels without stumbling. She'd even started to enjoy the soft swish of her hair against her shoulders, a sensation that still caught her off guard when she glimpsed her reflection. But beyond the physical adjustments, something deeper was shifting. People saw her differently now, and Daisy was beginning to understand the power that came with it. It started small. Teachers softened their tones when she asked for extensions on assignments, their sternness melting under her hesitant smile. Classmates held doors for her, their eyes lingering a beat too long. Even strangers, like the barista at the coffee shop who slipped her an extra shot of espresso on the house, treated her with a warmth Mike had never known. At first, it baffled her. Was this just how people treated girls? But as the days wore on, Daisy noticed something else. Attraction. The way guys' gazes flicked to her chest before darting back to her face. The way girls sometimes blushed when she complimented them. It was intoxicating, this new currency she'd stumbled into. She decided to test it. Thanks for watching. The rest won't be viewable on YouTube, so check out Patreon if you want more. I hope you have a wonderful day, my cutie.